ago, and thank you very much. Can you hear now?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I was here when the CPO was turned into law. I moved here in 1992. I lived in Sheldon, and there was a big group of people in Sheldon, as well as a big group of people in St. Helena who worked very hard, not only on the comp plan, but also on the amendment to implement it, which is what enshrines the CPO. Probably none of you were on council, unless you were, Mr. Dawson, were you on council in 1999? It passed in 1999. We wanted it the same thing in Sheldon, but we could only get the votes for them to do one place, and they did St. Helena, which is certainly better than none. These laws are passed for a reason. We spend a lot of time talking about comprehensive plans and planning. Well, as you know, by state law, the comp plan has to be consistently updated, as does the ordinances. But at the time of this particular, in 1999, there was a big emphasis, at least north of the Broad, on preserving the real rural areas. And that has carried through with the subsequent enactment of the growth boundaries. There also were, I don't know if any of you remember, but there were two studies on the cost of growth. One covered south of the Broad, the other covered north of the Broad. The cost of growth, well, I think those studies were done by Clemson. And I don't remember the exact numbers that they calculated the cost of growth to be, but it was over $1 billion for each one. And in that study, they did not count maintenance. For example, if you build this many schools, now you got to hire teachers, now you got to maintain them. So it was a real bare bones. It was very expensive, and that helped stop the zoning wars, where everybody was grabbing everybody else's land. We know exactly what happens when we take land that is zoned a certain way for a very specific reason for a culture, and we let a crowd in. And I'll tell you quickly what that is. The people in St. Helena, as well as the people in Sheldon, got to watch what happened on Hilton Head. Yeah. And they got to see that, okay, now the taxes are too high, they can't keep their property. So we know exactly what happens when the camel's nose gets under the tent. I ask you to please respect the zoning of people who have lived there for generations. Thank you.
Thank you.